Ever been to a jam with friends and they ask you to take a solo and you can't think of anything past a few notes? Well, today we're going over a scale that you can use over any diatonic chord progression, practically. This is Ike Guitar, and today is the major scale. Before we begin the lesson, let's go over a few reminders. Last time we learned about the cage system, a relationship of octaves used to traverse the fretboard. We're going to use those shapes to build our corresponding major scales, because then they get linked together. Magic, I know. So if you haven't learned the cage shapes, you should go to my other video explaining them. It'll take like 4 minutes of your life, so get over there. So the major scale is one of the first scales you learn in Western music. It's jovial, it's happy, and it's used in all kinds of music around the world. But I want you to change your thinking about the major scale. I want you to stop calling it the major scale. I want you to call it the way cooler and way more impressive Ionian mode. It'll impress your friends, trust me. You see, the major scale is much broader than a standard guitar education will tell you. There are 7 modes of the major scale. And what is a mode? A mode is kind of like Optimus Prime turning into a truck. He's still the leader of the Autobots, he's just a truck now. Except he's got 7 forms. And the form we facilitate and commonly associate with the sound of the major scale is actually called the Ionian mode. But this Ionian mode is really versatile. In chord progressions with major chords, we can construct beautiful harmonies and lead lines. You can even do it over minor chords, but one would argue it's actually a different mode at that point. And don't rack your brain thinking about it, just listen to the weird man explain his Ionian ramblings. So if I play this mode, how do you feel? Hopefully you feel happy, hopeful, and hear a little resolution. I'm sure there are tons of scientific videos out there explaining why we feel the way we feel when playing Ionian mode. But when it comes down to it, it is the relationship between half steps and the scale tones. A half step is essentially a move from one fret to the next. Half step, half step. A whole step is 2 frets. Whole step. The Ionian mode gets its happy characteristics from the half-step relationships in the scale. The happy family that is the Ionian mode is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So example, whole, 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 half, whole, 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 half. Okay, don't lose me here, just memorize that sequence. The Ionian mode sounds the way it does because of those half steps. Okay, so now we're ready to learn the Ionian in the cage system. Let's learn the mode in positions A and C. Before we begin, let me tell you about the sounds I'm making and the stuff I use to get those sounds. So I've got a custom-made Telecaster from the boys at 30th Street Guitars that has got Lindy Fralene pickups. I'm running the middle position, and then I've got a Tyler JT14. It's a Fender style amplifier with a little bit of spring reverb. And then I've got that running into a Strymon Deco for a little bit of tape saturation and a little bit of compression and grit. So to play the first position, which is the C position in the key of E major, maintain my C position, and that is the C position major scale in the key of E. Alright, so we just played the C position scale in the key of E major. So our A position is going to be right next to it. And we're going to play the E major scale in the A position. Now a good way to remember these patterns is to learn a couple major chords to go with it. So if I take C position in E, let's make an E major chord and a C shape out of it. So if I think about my C chord, it looks like this. I'm just going to essentially move this up the neck so that the E becomes my root. And knowing this chord grip is going to help you know what notes are in the scale, because it all pretty much looks like the scale pattern we just learned. And now for the A position shape, we know that the A position in the key of E major is this. And since our A chord grip looks like, this, okay, we're just going to move that up so that the E becomes the root. You'll recognize this as an A-shape bar chord. You should totally memorize those chord shapes too. Ever see a really famous guitar bro wildly swinging his axe and playing a chord up the neck? It was probably just a C chord because he's a weenie. And there you have it. These are the first two positions of the Ionian mode / major scale. Go practice these at home and memorize them. You should memorize them with a circle of fourths. That will get your hands moving and keep you from getting trapped in one position too long. Remember, random stimulus is the key to developing great motor patterns. And if you guys like this video, you should totally subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. If you want to get in contact with me, reach out to me on Instagram @iKuitar. Now, go practice your Ionian mode. Tell your friends all about the Ionian mode, and make sure to go to your mom or roommate and yell, "Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half." You remember 80% of what you learn if you teach it to somebody else. So get out there, don't suck, and tell someone you love about the joys of Ionian mode.